All right, dude, we are live. What's up, guys? This is Dem Keys, and holy shit, I am excited. I'm incredibly excited. For the past, I don't know, 2 maybe 3 weeks, I've been doing a bunch of TUI stuff. I've been moving a lot of my workflow over to TUI based apps, which are um, terminal UI based, or I guess the T stands for text based UI. Whatever. You get the point. Text based UI or terminal based UI. The whole point is that the UI is displayed in the terminal, kind of like what you can see here right now. Here I have a program called Vizy Data open in my terminal, and this is viewing or previewing. This is viewing. This has opened up and it's displaying a data set for me. So this is one example. Another example would be NeoVim, which is this. This is also, I guess you could technically call it TUI based. Yeah. I guess you can call this TUI based as well. And then we have something like Yatsi, which is Yatsi is a TUI based file manager, a TUI based a TUI based file manager. So this is also running in the terminal. Now this is what I mean when I say that I have been moving quite a lot of my workflow over to TUI based apps and over to the terminal. Give me a second, real quick. Um, let me just view my stream to see what's being shown. Give me a second. I don't know if the stream is playing. I think I need to confirm something. Give me a second. I'm just going to switch to the BRB screen so I can move to a different window and check if my stream is live. Yes, my stream is live. Real quick, I'm just gonna go back here so I can see what the thing looks like. So this is my stream manager. Okay, cool, great. Okay, what was I gonna do? Yeah, I need to switch back here. I can actually pause this so I'm not eating up too much bandwidth. And I'm gonna explain to you guys exactly how all of this is working. Give me a second. I need to figure out why the stream is not playing on my phone, because I have my stream manager open on the phone and I'm trying to view the stream from the stream manager because due to my, oh wait, hold on, I didn't transition back here. Okay, cool. Now, how do I view my own stream through my phone? I have the stream manager open, but it just shows like a pause button. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, cool. So that's what it looks like. Amazing. Okay, all right. Sorry, my mind is like all over the place. There's a bunch of stuff going on right now. This is a whole new setup. Well, I mean it's still the same old machines, but it's kind of a new setup, a new way of doing things. What you're seeing here, this is running on Linux. This Vizy data is running in a terminal on Linux. It's running in the Kitty terminal, but more specifically, it's running on Tmux. It's running in a window in Tmux, and the Tmux session is attached to a Kitty terminal, and that terminal is what's being streamed to you guys. Oh, wait, that terminal is being captured by OBS. Actually, the entire screen is being captured by OBS because I couldn't get window capture to work. Give me a second. Yeah, the entire screen is being captured by OBS because I couldn't get window capture to work, and I was like, okay, trying to fix it is proving to be more effort than it's worth. So if I'm just a little bit careful, then I can get away with just doing a screen capture. I would definitely like to get window capture working at some point later because the screen capture thing is kind of risky in case I ever want to like tab back into the browser, and let's say I have something open there that I may not want shown on stream. Yeah, it's a bit risky in that sense. But wait, give me a second. Yo, Summer. Hello, hello. How's it going? How are you doing, man? I was just explaining this new setup that I've got going on where I'm running a bunch of these apps on another machine, and I'm streaming from that machine. I'm streaming the video feed from that machine over to my Windows machine, which is my main streaming machine. And from this Windows machine, it's being streamed over to Twitch. And here's the interesting part. What's being streamed from, I actually need to create like a diagram of some sort to show you guys, to explain to you guys how it's working. So, okay, wait, let me see if I can, maybe I can open up NeoVim here and yeah, dude, you know what? This just occurred to me. I should try to look for drawing apps that are primarily TUI based. Obviously, they would have their limitations, but I need to look for those kinds of apps because it would be helpful to. They would be helpful in being able to create sort of. Hell yeah, dude! I haven't seen the chaos emotes, let's call them, in a long time. Wing Doritos. Yeah, dude, now I'm actually going to be able to continue working on the VTuber app, and I'm pretty excited for that. Now, dude, so many of my problems, development wise, so many of my problems are gonna be get words. So many of my problems are gonna be solved now that I've moved development over to a different machine, and that's including my VTuber app. So I'm gonna be able to continue doing development on the VTuber app on a different machine. So okay, to sort of start from the beginning. So what I've done is I've moved the majority of my workflow over to Linux because I have a bunch of Linux machines running on the same network as my main streaming machine. This main streaming machine is a Windows machine, but this machine it's got hardware issues, more specifically hard drive issues, which were making working on it kind of difficult. Yeah, words do be kind of difficult. So, because it was becoming hard to work on, what's happening to the internet? Okay, we lost a couple of frames there for a few seconds, but I think everything should be fine now. Yeah, okay. So, what was I saying? Yeah, I desperately needed to move a bunch of my workflow over to Linux because like on Linux, my workflow is just much faster. It's not that Windows is slower. I mean, yeah, in a lot of aspects, it tends to be slower than Linux, at least for the stuff that I've been using it for. But the main reason was because my Windows machine's hardware, or more specifically the hard drive, it wasn't doing that well. So any anything that required anything that required hard drive access, it would end up being painfully slow. If I was using any apps that were constantly reading from and writing to the hard drive, that would be slow. If I was using any apps that had to move files around, that would also be slow. Just in general, even if I tried to copy files, that would be incredibly slow. So, because of that, it became incredibly slow to work with applications like Unity, for example, because Unity is constantly doing file access. A bunch of different files are being created and removed and read from and written to and stuff like that. And so that would end up being incredibly slow for me. So I moved a bunch of my workflow over to Linux, and more specifically, I moved it over to TUI based apps, which is even faster than using VS Code because I'd started using VS Code even on Linux a couple of years ago. It's been a good like more than I would say more than 5 years that I've been using VS Code in general on Windows for close to a decade, if not more than a decade. And on Linux, it has to be at least 5 or more years that I've been using it. And while it is pretty fast, something that I did notice is that it's still a GUI app. And GUI apps, when you are working with older hardware, they tend to be a tiny bit slow, even if it's just in like, small places here and there. So here and there, um, it can still those tiny tiny bit of tiny bits of lag can kind of add up over time, and then it just seems like the entire app is slowing down. So I noticed that even with I actually noticed that with Python development because I was using Jupyter notebooks on in VS Code, and Jupyter notebooks, like Jupyter notebook by itself or Jupyter by itself, it it adds to the load because there's a bunch of stuff going on there as well. But yeah, I at one point I was just like, okay, let's try out TUI apps. And how this started was, I don't know if I can show it to you here, but yeah, I think I might be able to. I think I might be able to. Um, I need to I need to confirm that there's that it's safe to show. So give me a second. I'm just gonna do this. Right. Okay. So I'm gonna show you guys btop. Btop is it's a TUI based process monitor. Think of it as task manager, but in TUI. This is the application that kind of got me interested in TUI apps because after seeing how incredibly fast this was, I was like, dude, hold on. why can't I try other TUI stuff as well? Just a second. Okay, back. Sorry, not why can't I try, why don't I try more TUI based apps? What more can I do in terms of TUI? How many more things am I able to do with TUI based apps? And that's how I started doing research on TUI based apps for various things. And then as the need arose, arised, whatever. As the need arose, I, I looked up apps for various purposes. I think the first thing that I looked up was a TUI based text editor, and the first one to come to mind was Vim. Not NeoVim, just Vim. I have used Vim in the past, so I had like a tiny bit of experience with it, but I'd used very, very, very bare bones Vim with no plugins at all. So all I was using was a bare bones text editor, and it was okay, but I wasn't feeling it because at the time my hardware was able to handle VS Code pretty well. And dude, don't get me wrong, it's not like VS Code has become painfully slow now. It's just that, dude, as time goes by, applications are going to start to become more and more heavier. So your older hardware is slowly going to get to the point where it's not able to handle those applications as well as it used to. That happened with Unity. That happened with VS Code. That's happened with a couple of different apps that I've used because I don't have a lot of money. So it's not like I'm able to change my computers, you know, every 2 or 3 years. If I get it as a gift, then that's amazing. And honestly, that's what has been happening. That's the only reason why I've been getting new laptops and new computers like over the years. It's because I was given them as a gift. What was I saying? Yeah, okay. Going back to this. So, GUI based apps, they can become heavy over time. And especially like when you start adding more and more things into them, with something like VS Code, for example, you're going to be doing a whole lot of work with extensions. The whole idea with extensions is that they add more functionality to a very bare bones code editor. And the more extensions you add on, the slower the thing tends to become. This isn't like, you add one or two extensions and it's just going to become slow. It takes a while for it to get there. But I mean, I was slowly getting to that point where I started to notice hitches a little too often, and so I was like, okay, let's try something else. Okay, going back to Vim. So back when I did try Vim, I was like, okay, this is great, but I'm not going to find myself in too many situations. And this was literally my thought process back then. I think I've even said it on stream a couple of times that I'm not going to find myself in too many situations where I'm restricted to a primarily terminal based workflow and I don't have a GUI environment to run apps in. And that's still true. I'm not really finding myself in environments that are primarily restricted to TUI or to terminals only. I'm not finding myself in situations where I don't have a desktop environment that GUI can run on. However, that being said, the primary reason for me to even want to try TUI based apps is because of how fast they are. Dude, they are insanely fast. Just as an example, this is Vim. Okay, I just type NVIM and then open up a new file, and then I can just start typing. That's how quick it is. Real quick, for the sake of an example, I can quit Vim. Look at how quickly it closes as well. Real quick, for the sake of an example, I can, let's open up Yatsi and let's go into VS Code projects, Python. Let's do pyprog 02. And this is, dude, this is the amazing thing about TUI based file managers. Like, look at how fast this is. Look at how quick this is. Okay, so in here, what I want to do is I want to create an environment, vn and env. Okay, that's gonna do its thing, and oh shit, it's finding. Hold on, what was the? Okay, this. I hit the wrong thing. I opened up the search thing for finding something. Okay, so vn env. Okay, so it's going to do its thing. It's going to create the environment. Then I'm just going to grab this path and cd into it. And now that we have the environment, I can activate the environment and install. What should I install? Let's install NumPy for the sake of installing something. Okay, that's done. Now we can open up Vim in this environment, and I'm going to create a new text file here. Let me just save it so it appears in this list. There it is. Okay, so here we can now start coding. So I can say import NumPy as np, and then I can create an array. Look at that. We have like all the IntelliSense and everything that you need. It's just there. It works. By the way, this isn't out of the box. I don't want to give the wrong impression, the wrong idea that you get all of this out of the box. There is a bit of a setup to this, but once you do that setup, you're good to go. All of this is okay. I'm kind of jumping ahead here. Where was I? I was saying something. Give me a second. Let me make this array, and then we can save this. I don't remember what's in this. Oh, by the way, this is a mind map tool, which I'm gonna talk about this as well. I discovered mind maps. I mean, mind maps are not a new concept, but I discovered them fairly recently thanks to this application. This is one of the few applications that is, this is one of the few TUI based mind maps that's available. Huge shout out to the developer, the person who made this, because I use this mind map a lot. I use this mind map app a lot. The application is actually called Hacker's Mind Map. Okay, I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to it once I show you what I was planning on showing you. So we're going to create a new thing here, and we're going to cd into this, and we're going to activate the environment here as well, just so we can run the script. So what is it? Python this py01.py. Actually, go back real quick. Why did it create the the thing here. Oh, it's creating it based on, I think it's creating it based on indices. Okay, let's try creating a new. Okay, now it filled that one in. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and now it should create 11. There. Dude, I need to look into how to reassign the indices of these windows in Tmux. Okay, so again, source env bin activate, and then we run pi01.py. But before that, I remembered that I need to add a print statement here. Okay, save, come here, run. There is our result. Now, back to what I was saying about Vim. So I went through like the B of basics when it comes to Vim. I learned like very, very incredibly basic stuff. And at the time I was like, okay, this is cool, this is great, but I'm not going to find myself in too many situations where I have to do any sort of text editing in the terminal, because usually I'm going to have GUI based apps available. But then recently, once I moved to TUI based apps, once I moved to a TUI based workflow, I'm still not forced to use a terminal thing. I'm still running on a desktop environment. I can use GUI apps. However, I choose to use TUI apps instead because they're much faster. So that led me to doing research on how to. At some point, I remember I'd heard about NeoVim as well. I'd never tried it out, but I'd heard of it. I had tried out Vim and Nano. Vim and NeoVim are different. They're not the same project. NeoVim is highly extensible. I think the whole idea behind NeoVim was that it's supposed to be highly extensible. People are supposed to be able to create whatever types of plugins they want to create for it and make it very extensible. And that's exactly what happened. See, okay, I started doing research on NeoVim, and I'm going to be honest, initially I was really close to kind of quitting. Blub. What's blub? Also, dude, Summer, we need to do another movie night, man. We haven't done a movie night in ages. Okay, back to what I was saying. Um, yeah, so I came incredibly close to kind of giving up on NeoVim because when it came to extensibility, I was seeing a whole lot about config files, because a lot of customization in NeoVim is done through config files. If you want to install plugins, you're going to be creating different types of Lua files and also editing some config files. I think even the config files are Lua files, but then each plugin can also have its own separate Lua file, or you can include the code for the entire plugin or multiple plugins into one big file. You can choose how you want to organize it. Now, all of this information, initially, it was kind of overwhelming. And so it came really close to turning me off of NeoVim, because I wanted to learn, because initially I had to learn how to use the editor itself, right? So adding on the load of having to learn about, config this and config that, it was kind of like, nah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. That's kind of what was going on in my head. And then something crazy happened. I don't remember the name of the distribution, but yeah, I learned that there are these things called distributions in NeoVim. Distributions are essentially a collection of various config files and tools and settings and stuff like that 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 essentially configure NeoVim to provide you with a certain type of experience. Um, Sorry, I got distracted. So, yeah, distributions are they basically configure NeoVim to give you a certain kind of experience. So they'll come with a collection of or they could come with a collection of plugins, a collection of different types of settings that'll configure NeoVim to behave in a certain way, and a bunch of different tools or tools that are responsible for managing other tools. Um, yeah, yeah. That's what distributions are. And I learned about distributions right before I was about to give up on NeoVim. So I came across this thing called LazyVim, and initially it was kind of confusing to me. Like, what am I doing here? How am I supposed to install this? And what's going on with that? Because, dude, there's a lot of moving parts with NeoVim initially, and this is why I would advise anyone who is getting into NeoVim to first learn the basics. The amazing thing is that when you open up NeoVim, it has something called a tutor, which is basically a tutorial. It's an interactive tutorial that runs within NeoVim itself, and you can go through that tutorial and learn the basics of NeoVim. After that, you can look into configuring NeoVim and try and understand what the config files are for and what they do. And then you can look into distributions. I kind of jump to distributions directly, which you can still do that. You can still do that. It's just that, just like me, you're going to end up having to look up a lot of information that you don't know because you skip the basics. Sama, I see your messages. I haven't read them yet. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, so what was I saying? What was I saying? Yeah. So I learned about this thing called LazyVim, this distribution called LazyVim, and I also learned about another distribution which I cannot remember the name of the distribution right now. Let me see if I can. Let me ask Gemini real quick. And this is another great thing that I can load up. Like, okay, I still have to tell you guys how I'm doing this, how I've set up this entire thing because I'm so proud of the way that I've set this whole thing up. Okay, there was a very bare bones distribution in NVIM that I had heard about before I installed LazyVim. I can't remember the name. Can you help me out? Yeah, that's what it was called. It was called Kickstart Vim. Kickstart Vim is a very I don't want to give out wrong information, so I'm gonna look it up. Because from what I remember, it mentioned that it was a very bare bones distribution that gave you a sort of gentle introduction to NeoVim, and I think to also plugins. Kickstart. Wait, wrong keyboard. Kickstart NVIM. Okay, and then we can also open up LazyVim NVIM. Okay, real quick, Summer, let me read your messages. This workflow is kind of new for me because to look at messages, I'm looking at my phone now. I have my stream manager running on my phone, and dude, you know what? I feel like I could make um I feel like I could make this screen a tiny bit bigger. I feel like I could do that. Yeah. I don't know. Let's try that. Let's see how that looks. Give me a second. Okay, okay, okay. All right. That's not bad. And your message is also not getting occluded. Your message appears in front of the thing, which I just realized that yeah, okay, I can also do that. Okay. Now, Sama, what were you saying? Um okay, you said blub, you don't know the importance of blub, then beautiful love ultimate blast. Oh, that's interesting. That sounds interesting. How can you ignore blub? And I made blub and I'm proud of it. Just blub, man. You know what? Yeah, just blub. Nah, I feel that. Just blub. Dude, blub should be an emote on your channel. Blub should totally be an emote on your channel. Speaking of channels, dude, how do I give a shout out through this chat thing? Let me see if I'm able to give a shout out through the chat. Yeah, I think I can. Uh, I don't know. Did that work? Yeah, that worked. Okay, so there's a shout out in the chat right now. You guys should go check out Sama. That's chaos underscore Samalama Ding Dong. You guys should go check out Sama. She's cool people. She's one of my closest friends, and well, her streams are a fun time. Like, go hang out in her streams. You're gonna have a good time. She plays a bunch of games on PS5. Good stuff. Good stuff. Why is the audio still playing in? Okay, that's cool. All right. So what was I saying? Yeah. So I opened this thing up. So this is Kickstart Vim. It says it's a launch point for your personal NVIM configuration, a starting point for NeoVim that is small, single file, completely documented, and it's not a NeoVim distribution, but instead a starting point for your configuration. I didn't do this. I'm just putting that out there. I didn't do this. However, I feel like this might provide you with a gentle introduction into NeoVim and more importantly NeoVim's configuration stuff, stuff that I kind of raced past, um, and then I had to come back to it later on because I raced past it and I didn't learn about it. So can you feel the blub tonight? Y- yeah, sure. I mean, I'm excited about doing this stuff that I'm doing. You were saying you love blub? Yeah, dude. Sure. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was doing something. Okay. Right. So I didn't do this, but this is what I came very close to. So okay, when I learned about distributions, and I started trying to learn, hey, okay, what is a distribution and how do I install plugins and this and that? I think I had started by looking for a tutorial video, and it was well because I was getting like I was primarily looking at text-based information, just doing my own research and getting bits of information here and there, which was great. But I was like, okay, let's try watching a tutorial video. I usually don't watch tutorial videos because I keep getting distracted. So I'm much better off, trying to find the information myself. But then in this case, I was like, you know what? Let's sit through the video. We can speed the video up and it'll be fine. So I loaded up a video, and just fortunately, it just so happened that the video that I loaded up was by one of the maintainers of, or one of the contributors of NeoVim itself. And this person was talking about starting with Kickstart Vim and or Kickstart NVIM. And so I came close to installing Kickstart, but then I decided to ask Gemini first. I was like, hey, I'm learning about NeoVim and I'm hearing about these things called, Kickstart and LazyVim and all that. Help me understand what these things are. That's when I properly understood exactly what the difference is. The Mayor's Den. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? We I'm just discussing NeoVim and my adventures with NeoVim. So, like I was saying, um, after chatting with Gemini about the distributions and stuff for a little bit, it became clear to me that installing both of them is probably not going to be the best idea. I need to pick one. And just for the sake of saving my time, I was like, okay, let's just go with LazyVim because I'm seeing a bunch of features in there that I'm definitely going to be needing. So the idea behind LazyVim, which is this, let's change to dark mode so we're not destroying our eyeballs. So this is LazyVim. Let me read out the features so you get sort of a let's read the brochure. So transform your NeoVim into a full-fledged IDE, which is exactly what I was looking for. An IDE is an integrated development environment, essentially a code editor along with the coding tools that you're going to need. Stuff like, for example, if you're doing Python coding, then you need the Python interpreter because that's what's going to run your Python scripts. If you're doing C# coding, then you're going to need the .NET SDK. Or if you're doing Unity coding, then well, Unity has its own ways of running your scripts. But yeah, that's what an IDE is. It has a lot more tools, stuff like debuggers and um, I can't think of more things to say, but it has a lot of stuff. So that's what I was looking for. I was looking for essentially a new IDE or a TUI based IDE. So I'd heard in the past that NeoVim can be configured to do these things, but like at the time, and when I say at the time, I mean like this was close to a decade ago. So things were not like the ecosystem wasn't as mature back then, if I'm being honest. So it's kind of a good thing that I took my time getting into NeoVim. I didn't get into NeoVim back then. I got into it now. Okay, so why exactly was I talking about NeoVim? Okay, yeah. So the great thing about NeoVim is that it comes with a bunch of it comes with a bunch of plugins and a plugin manager of its own called, I think the plugin manager is called LazyVim. I think so. I don't remember. I think the plugin manager is called lazy.nvim. But yeah, this entire distribution is also called LazyVim. Lazy NVIM is the plugin manager that manages all of the plugins that you install through their list that they have. And it also has something called Mason. Mason is more responsible for I wanna make sure I word this properly so I'm not giving inaccurate information. From what I've understood, Mason is more responsible for handling external tooling, stuff like language servers, for example. So if let's say you're trying to install support for Python, right? You're gonna need something like a linter and something like a formatter, and you have various Python related linters and formatters and stuff, which you can install very easily through the Mason UI, which is available within NeoVim itself. And this is the great thing about LazyVim, is that it installs a bunch of these features for you. It enables a bunch of these plugins for you. LazyVim has this this thing called Lazy Extras. I can actually show that to you. Hold on. Lazy Extras. So these are essentially this is a list of plugins that are kind of, how do I say this? They're I wouldn't say bundled with LazyVim, but they are kind of part of this list of extras, which you can very easily enable and disable. And when you enable them, then it'll download whatever thing it needs to download. Also, additionally, you can install plugins if you need something that's not within this list. I believe I have actually done that. Yeah, I had to do that for the color scheme. So I'm using a color scheme called Rosé Pine, which I really like the colors in Rosé Pine. Before that, I was using something called Cappuccine. You guys need to see these colors, because both of these colors, if you are doing, actually, I forgot, I forgot to look at the chat. Give me a second. Mayor knows Blub. I told you Blub was important. I know all about Blub. I think I like that. I like that. But yeah, dude, Blub. Dude, I could add a Blub command once I start working on the VTubing app again. Which, oh, dude, that was, give me a second. Actually, wait, how long have I been streaming? When is the ad break coming? Dude, I think I missed the ad timer. I think that the timer came and went. It didn't appear on my phone. It usually appears when I'm looking at the web version of the stream manager, but on the phone version it didn't appear. So I missed the timer, and I didn't take the hydration break. So give me a second. Let me hydrate. I'll be back in like 15 seconds. Oh, okay. So, what was I talking about? Yeah, okay. I actually forgot what exactly I was talking about, but the point is, LazyVim, dude. So, okay, anyone who's trying to get into, NeoVim to eventually use it as a code editor or an IDE, you definitely want to use some kind of distribution. LazyVim is not the only distribution. There are other distributions available out there. Recently, I came across one. I forgot the name of it. Give me a second. Okay, there was another distribution that I had come across. Dude, I just realized I still have to tell you guys the incredibly cool part about this whole setup that I have. And this is why I wish I had like a TUI based drawing tool. Maybe we can look into a TUI based drawing tool right now. Just something real simple that can draw shapes. That'll be fine. Um do it. Mayor has a blub command because blub is love, blub is life, blub forever. Um, today's stream is sponsored by Blub. It is indeed. Today's stream is sponsored by Blub. Instead of the Kaggle, I should probably have a different sticker instead of the Kaggle sticker now. I mean, I still will be, doing Kaggle stuff, um, kind of like together with my TUI based stuff because the Kaggle stuff is pretty fast as well. And anytime I want to do data science related stuff, I feel like especially if it's something that's using Kaggle data sets or any Hugging Face related libraries, it's probably going to be faster to do it on Kaggle. Speaking of faster, dude, holy shit, I very recently realized that installing PyTorch has become so much quicker. Dude, okay, let me explain. I hated installing PyTorch on desktop or, well, on laptop, basically not in the cloud. So if I was running Kaggle notebooks already come with like, they come with like a preset environment, and that environment contains a bunch of packages that they feel would be necessary for people who are doing for people who are doing dude, Sama, I just got an idea. Why don't you like draw uh, a blub a blub image? You can color it if you want, or just draw it in like pencil or whatever, and then I could like create like a sticker kind of thing. I don't want to make it one of my emotes because then it'll seem like I'm getting free artwork off of you just to create one of my emotes. Um, but yeah, definitely we can do the sticker thing where I can set up a command where you type in, I don't know, exclamation blub, and then like a sticker gets plastered somewhere on the screen randomly. We could try something like that. But yeah, okay. Back to what I was saying before I oh yeah. So with Kaggle notebooks, something that I initially really liked about Kaggle notebooks was that the environment comes with like a long list of Python packages installed, and the majority of the packages that you would need as a data scientist or an AI engineer doing ML stuff or deep learning stuff, you're going to have the packages already installed. So all you have to do is import them. And if there are certain packages that are not installed, you can install them. Like you can add a cell that has the install command, and then each time you run that notebook newly, the first time, it's gonna install the package. But you have like the majority of the packages that you're going to need as a data scientist or as an ML engineer, an AI engineer. You have like the majority of the packages, and that includes I believe both PyTorch and TensorFlow and Keras. I'm not sure about the last two, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that they are there. I just can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure, if that makes sense. Because it kind of seems like Kaggle supports Keras and TensorFlow a little more. Though, I mean, okay, I shouldn't say they support it more. It seems like they, in their examples and stuff, they tend to use that more than PyTorch. It's not like they're discouraging use. It's just that they seem to lean more towards that side. That being said, all of those frameworks are available in a Kaggle environment, and that's one of the things that I really liked about Kaggle is that not only is it fast because it's running in the cloud, not on my local machine, but it also had a bunch of the packages available out of the box, so I wouldn't have to spend time, installing packages once I create a new notebook. What was I saying? Yeah, okay. So something that kind of made me excited about the Kaggle thing was the fact that PyTorch was already installed, and so anytime I wanted to do any neural network experimentation, I could very easily just fire up a notebook and do whatever I needed there. I would have to wait for like, a couple of seconds maybe while the thing started, but that's about it. There was no more delay than that. However, installing Kaggle on in a local environment on like one of my local machines, that would take time. On my Linux machines, it would take anywhere between half an hour to 1 hour. And on my Windows machine, the one that had the hardware problem, the hard drive problem, it I'm not even kidding. It took a good like 2 to 3 hours to just install um, PyTorch, well, Torch Audio, and Torch Vision, I think it's called. It was insane. It took, and this was a couple of years ago, and that really like it turned me off of you know wanting to create new environments that have PyTorch in it, and that's also why I was favoring Kaggle notebooks a lot more because I didn't have to spend time waiting. I could just jump into it directly. But then recently, when I started doing Python stuff with NeoVim, I decided to try and set up an environment just out of curiosity. I was like, okay, let's give it a try again. And this time it's on Linux. So, worst case scenario, I might have to wait for 45 minutes or an hour or something. Um, but then I was surprised. It didn't take more than like 5 to 10 minutes to install. And even that 5 to 10 minutes that it took because my internet connection is slow and it had to download the packages. So the downloading is what took longer than the actual installation. And well, the package size has also decreased over time. Like dude, this is what got me incredibly excited about using PyTorch locally. Again, I mean, I was excited about using PyTorch in general, but like because of how long it would take to install, I was favoring doing it within Kaggle notebooks more. But then now I'm like, holy shit, I can set up environments super quick now. It's not going to take time at all. Like, dude, I'm so confident about it that I could start up an installation right now. And I'm fully confident that while I'm talking about stuff on stream, the installation will complete. If, okay, maybe because I'm already streaming, so there's a load on my connection. So maybe it might take a little longer to download, but it's gonna finish quick. It's gonna finish not only downloading but also installing quick. Like they've made progress. They've made tons of progress in terms of minimizing the size of it and minimizing how long it takes to install the thing. It's amazing, dude. I was I was so happy to see how quick it was because I've been as I've been moving my entire workflow over to the terminal, over to TUI based apps. I've been trying to do more and more stuff in the TUI or in the terminal using TUI, and there were certain workflow changes that I realized I'm going to have to make if I want to be able to, keep everything primarily TUI based. Fortunately, fortunately, terminals like Kitty, they have their own graphics protocol which allows you to display images within the terminal itself. And this isn't like ASCII art. No, it's an actual, it displays the actual image. And the great thing is you have these different tools that kind of, they have support for each other. So for example, Yatsi has, when you open up the Yatsi repo, it mentions at some point in the README that which all terminals are supported, and for each of the terminals, which graphics protocol is going to be used. And fortunately, it supports Kitty out of the box, I believe. And I think it is able to use Kitty's own graphics protocol. I think so. Either way, whichever protocol it's using, Yatsi itself within Kitty, amazing results. Because Yatsi itself, the file manager itself, it has a preview option. So when you're scrolling through files, it shows you previews of whatever the file is. So if it's a text file or a code file or something, it'll show you the text or the code, or at least a small preview of it. And if it's a video, it's going to show you like a thumbnail of it. And if it's an image, then it's going to show you the image itself. I forgot why I was telling you this. I think I was telling you this because I was talking about how I had to move a lot of my workflow. I had to change my workflow to kind of fit within, the terminal based workflow. And yeah, wait, no, I forgot why exactly I was, yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. Okay. Anyways, uh, where was I? So I installed LazyVim, and I've been using LazyVim, and I have managed to move all three of the daily languages that I use, which are Python, Rust, and C Sharp. I've managed to move all three of them over to NeoVim. C Sharp was a very recent development for me because C Sharp, I actually tried and gave up multiple times before coming back and finally doing it again. The problem with the C Sharp support was that, okay, so I had to install the C Sharp language server. I installed the C Sharp language server, but the problem was that over the years, I had installed .NET in multiple different ways on my machine. Some were done using Snap, which, my fucking God, dude, do not do that. Do not, holy shit. Just don't touch snap.net with like a 10-foot pole ever. I mean, I'm saying that now because I had a bad experience years ago. I don't know if they fixed all their issues now, but I still wouldn't trust it. Go with the official install script which Microsoft provides on their website. Go with that, install .NET through that, and you'll be good to go. So, one of the reasons why I had like a huge mess of .NET installations was because I had installed through Snap and then also uninstalled. I'd installed the .NET SDK through Snap and then also uninstalled it. Then I'd installed it through the apt repositories, which is like the official package repositories that Ubuntu provides. You can also add like other people's repos in that list, and then that'll be considered quote unquote official as well. And then there's also the install script method. And I think maybe I'd used some other method as well. I don't remember. The point is, because I'd used multiple of these methods over the years, it created a mess of .NET directories and .NET files all over my file system. As a result, when a tool like, for example, the C# language server was looking for specific files in a specific directory, it might not be able to find those files or might not even be able to find the directory. And as a result, there would be like weird errors popping up when I would open up a C# project in NeoVim. And it took me a bit to realize this. When I did realize this, then I went through my, actually I can show you guys, because okay, I have to show you guys all of the TUI based apps that I've started using. Give me a second. I'm super excited about this. Yeah, what's up, Sama? I've been reading your messages. I just didn't read them out loud. I just didn't read them out loud. Yeah, what's up? Sorry, I'm just getting super excited about this thing because I've been busy, dude. I've been busy. I've been moving my entire workflow over to TUI based apps and over to the terminal, and it has improved my productivity so much. It has improved my productivity a crazy, crazy amount. Yeah, blub to you too, man. Blub to you too. So, what was I? Where was I going? Oh, okay. Hold on. I was going in many different directions. I have to show you guys, I have to explain to you guys what I'm doing. Okay, so check this out. So I am streaming from my Windows machine. Okay, great, awesome. This thing that you're seeing, this this app that's running, this NeoVim and Vizy data and a bunch of these other things that are running in the terminal. This is not running on my Windows machine. This is running on my Linux machine, and I'm streaming it from my Linux machine to an RTMP server, which is also running on the Linux machine. And that's another thing that took me a couple of days to kind of figure out the issue with, because it took me some time to set it up. I'm using something called SRS, which I believe stands for Simple RTMP Server. And the configuration for it took me some time to figure out because of because that thing wasn't set up properly, or rather I should say using the SRS config file that they provide out of the box, or which they tell you to use out of the box. Using that wasn't working very well. Fortunately, they have like 20 other config files that they've provided for various other use cases, and they had one specifically called RTMP. So I opened that up. I looked at the config settings. I can actually show it to you. Hold on. I need to be careful with like exploring the file system, because in all the excitement, I might accidentally navigate into something that I don't want to navigate into. Um, Give me a second. Oh, you know what? Great. Awesome. Glad I have this thing open so I can show it to you here. This is a config file that I was supposed to be using. Or, well, this is a config file that I'm using right now. And because of this, I have this RTMP server running. The server is like currently running. Uh, just a second. Okay, so this is the simple bare bones RTMP config file that I was supposed to use. This is the SRS config file that they advised us to use. I did make a couple of changes here and there But like bare bones, this is what it looked like. This is the file that they had asked us to use. And this had a bunch of extra stuff in it, which I haven't gone through the entire thing. I don't even fully understand all of the protocols that are mentioned in there. But this was causing issues. When I would try to start up the SRS server, because usually when you start up the SRS server, you have to provide it with a config file that it's going to use. And I was providing it with this srs.conf config file, because that's what the instructions said, right? But then I decided to, like, when I finally found, because okay, I could show you guys here, Yatsi conf. So these are all the config files, all of these. These are the various config files that are available. By the way, can we just appreciate how quick the file manager is? This is why I'm so excited about doing TUI based stuff, because look at how fast everything is, dude. With GUI based stuff, I would have to click on like an icon or a button, and then I have to wait for a couple of seconds while the window opens up and the folders and all are displayed and all, and then I can start navigating. And then it's like, even on Linux, the GUI based file managers, they would be slow compared to the TUI based stuff. This is why I'm so excited about TUI based stuff, man. It's crazy. Okay, back to what I was saying. So, where was I? So, I'm streaming off of my Windows machine. Okay. On the Windows machine, you can, through, like, okay, from the Windows machine, I'm streaming to Twitch. And on the Windows machine, I have a browser running, which is where this web page is currently being displayed. So you can see this LazyVim documentation. And then you also have this thing. You also have this window, which I explained to you earlier. That this window, this thing, all of this is running on a different machine. So on my Linux machine, I have a kiddie terminal. What do you call it? Opened up. So I have the Kitty terminal opened up, and within Kitty I have tmux running, and tmux is a terminal multiplexer. Kitty itself does provide you with the option to have multiple tabs, which I do actually have. Funny enough, I do actually have that going on as well here. However, here what I'm streaming, it's mainly just the tmux session is what I want to stream. Okay, so here I have a tmux session running within one of the Kitty tabs, and in this tmux session I have multiple windows open, and each window is a separate shell, so each one is able to run different apps, which is exactly what I'm doing. And I can create as many windows as I want. Now, the great thing about tmux is that, wait a minute, just a second. Let me go back to this. Yeah. So the great thing about tmux is that, yeah, sure, it provides you with the terminal multiplexer features, but what makes it really stand out is that it also provides you with a server that hosts the session. So when I say I have a tmux session running right now, what I mean is that there's this session, and this session which holds all of these windows, and each window has like its own, shells and stuff. This entire session is being hosted on a tmux server, and I could easily detach my terminal from this session. So there's no terminal, there's no client attached to it, the session would still be running. All of this stuff is not going to close. I can detach from the session and kind of close the terminal itself, but Tmux is going to still keep the session alive. So at any time later, I can attach to that session again, and I can continue my work. So I don't need to close all of the apps that I have open. I can just carry on with my work just as just I can carry on. I can pick up where I left off, essentially. Okay, here's what makes this even better. This works seamlessly, for the most part, over SSH. So what I'm able to do is I have another Linux machine running on the same network. So far I've mentioned my Windows machine and a Linux machine. Now there's another Linux machine as well. So from that Linux machine, I SSH into this Linux machine, and then I attach from that Linux machine to the Tmux client in this Linux machine, and I'm able to control it. So now I'm controlling this. I'm sending in like keystrokes and all from that Linux machine, but it's because it's attached to the Tmux session that's running on this machine. So that's why you're seeing the changes here. And that's also one of the reasons why you're seeing, I don't know how well this is going to show up. Let me see if yeah, I'm not sure how well the actually let me try something here. Let me see if it shows up here. Is the mouse move? Yeah. So that's why you're seeing these dotted lines. This is the thing that happens when you have two clients attached to the same session. Then they're both able to see what the other is doing. And dude, this blew my mind. With Tmux, this is one of the things that blew my mind, that you can have multiple clients attached to the same session. And that is one of the reasons why I'm able to control this from a different machine. Dude, if I'm being honest, one of the main reasons I'm controlling this Tmux session from another machine is because the monitor on the other machine is bigger and it's further away, and it's angled in a way that I prefer to look at that monitor more than the monitor of the machine that the Tmux session is actually hosted on. And also this keyboard, if you listen to these keys, I don't know how much of this sound has been coming through. This is a keyboard that I recently got, and I discovered that I really like these kinds of keyboards with like elevated keys, because usually I would try to go for the most compact keyboard, the most flat keyboard. But then I realized that, dude, I like these kinds of keys where or even these kinds of keyboards where my fingers can just spider all across the keyboard. Yeah, I like typing on this keyboard a lot. So I prefer to SSH into the other machine through this machine. Another reason why I prefer to SSH is because that way I'm able to do the second Linux machine's work on the second Linux machine, but also do the first Linux machine's work on the second Linux machine, if that makes sense. So I can use one keyboard and one monitor to do work on both of the machines. Okay, anyways, enough justifying my use of SSH, but that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm currently SSH'd into Linux machine 1 from Linux machine 2, and I'm currently controlling the Tmux session from Linux machine 2, and the RTMP server is running on Linux machine 1, and it is recording, well, no, OBS is recording is recording the screen and sending the feed over to the RTMP server. And here's the interesting part. On the Windows machine, I've written a Python script. It's a simple script. It's an OpenCV script, a very basic script for displaying webcam feed. But in this case, I'm not displaying webcam feed. The video capture method can also accept an RTMP link, and that's what I've passed in. Actually, I think I can show. Uh, no, I don't think I can. Let me see if I can. I mean, if I paste the thing here without OpenCV, it's going to throw errors. I mean, you guys can look up the code if you want. Okay, great. Awesome. Now, um, I wanted to show you guys the mind map app real quick. I need to bring up the repo because, dude, like, huge shout out to the person that made this app. Oh, I've also been using a journaling app, which it's more of like a note-taking app with like a bunch of extra features. The great thing is that it's TUI based, which is what I was looking for. You have a bunch of different like journaling apps, but a lot of them are either GUI based or even web based. I wasn't looking for GUI stuff. I was looking for TUI stuff, and fortunately, I found one which, funny enough, it's written in Rust. I say funny enough because I've been looking for a bunch of like Rust-based apps for various purposes. I believe even Yatsi is written in Rust. I think so. I don't remember. Is it Yatsi or is it Git UI? Git UI is another one that I've been using a lot lately. Git UI is also a TUI based app. I believe that is written in Rust. I don't want to give out wrong information. I don't want to give out wrong information. So let me look up all of these, and especially HMM, Hacker's Mind Map. I'm going to show you guys just a second. Okay, so we have HMM, GitHub. No, this says HMM Learn. That's not what I'm looking for. There it is, Hacker's Mind Map. The amazing thing is that this person wrote this entire app in PHP, but it's still not running in a web server. It's running locally. So it's using like a PHP runtime kind of thing, but to run this within the terminal itself. And I took a look at the code, and it seems to me like this person is not even using any kind of TUI framework. The person, they wrote all of the rendering logic themselves, which is just wow. The entire program is one file. You don't have to install anything. You have to copy the file, make sure you have PHP installed, and there's one module that doesn't get installed by default, so you might need to install that as well. But that's it. Okay. So we have HMM, then we have Git UI. Yeah, Git UI is written in Rust. Then we have Yatsi. Yatsi is also written in Rust. Okay, here. Wait, let me just confirm that you guys can see it. And also, let me hydrate real quick. Okay, so here's the repo. It's called H-M-M. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear at the top of the search results. You'll have to scroll, a little bit to see it. But yeah, you can find this on GitHub as well. And this is an amazing application. So Hacker's Mind Map basically lets you create a mind map, but within the terminal. So you don't have to use any sort of GUI. You don't have to open up a browser to, render a web page or anything. You can have the entire mind map displayed within your terminal itself, and that's amazing for people that mainly use terminals. So if you have like a primarily terminal-based workflow, then it is incredibly useful for you. So this is what the mind map looks like. I'm going to show you guys in a little bit, like practically as well. And the entire thing is here within this. The entire script is within this file. Yeah, here it is. Let me just do this. Yeah, this is the entire thing. It's a massive. How many lines is this? It's like 3,817 lines. Like, dude, all this is the entire program, and it is incredibly useful. This is such a useful tool for me. When I tell you this is a useful tool for me, I'm not exaggerating. I use this tool every day because usually what I would be doing is I would have like a notepad file open, and anytime I need to remember something, I'll write it down in the notepad file. If what I needed to remember had a sort of structure to it, then I would have to structure it in a way using lists and tabs and stuff like that. But when you are limited to just writing lists, then kind of structuring things, it can get a little bit complicated. Let's say when you're trying to make complex structures, it can get complicated. Or when you're trying to branch out more, in terms of like ideas or stuff that you have to do and all, trying to maintain a sequential list, a linear list, it can become tedious, or let's say not so. Sorry, zoned out. Um, what was I saying? Yeah, it can get tedious. So it can be helpful to use something like a mind map. And I discovered the concept of mind maps through this. I then also learned that yes, there are plenty of other apps which are GUI based or even web based that have a bunch of a lot of very useful features. But I really like this. Dude, I like the simplicity of this, but I also like, despite the simplicity, how useful it is for me. And I use this app every day. Give me a second. I will. Yeah, just give me a second, and then I'll sort of demo the app. Okay, so where was I? Yes. So this is the Hackers Mind Map app. If you have a terminal based workflow, then definitely check this out. I was gonna demo this thing. Yes. So let me go over here. So I can get rid of this because I was gonna, well, today we were supposed to do learning Vizy data, but I kind of started, getting excited about talking about all of my TUI based workflow and how I've moved everything over to Linux. And I was super excited about it. So kind of, got carried away. Of course, TUI POG. So, okay, we can get rid of this. Now, this is what you start with when you open up a blank mind map. You can create this as a child of the root node, and then this node can have siblings. I need to give this a name, so I don't know, let's say sum01. Then this node can have siblings, so let's say sum02, sum03. So all of these siblings are considered children of the root node, right? Each of these nodes can also have their own children. So here we can say sum01 underscore 01, and then this can also have its own siblings, and you get the point. So this is great because you can use this to note down things in various ways. There, I have my own thing, but I don't want to, hold on. Let me see what I can, because I have my own list, of stuff, but not all of it can be shown here. Yeah, I can't show most of the stuff here. Okay, anyways, so let me just, what can I, okay, so let's say I was planning on exploring the Bevy game engine. Okay, in Bevy, I want to first explore the basics. Okay, then I want to explore UI. Then I want to explore let's say custom controls. Then I want to explore VTuber related stuff. Let's say I want to create a sort of VTubing app in Bevy. Bevy, by the way, it's essentially a game engine written in Rust, and that's another thing I've been exploring recently. I don't know how deep I'm going to go into Bevy now that I've managed to get C# working in NeoVim. Actually, dude, okay, even if I wasn't able to get C# working in NeoVim, I was still going to do C# development, but C# was going to be the one thing that I was primarily using VS Code for. Like that would be the one last remaining thing that I was using VS Code for. And even for that, dude, I discovered that VS Code apparently has, so okay, I kind of knew to a certain extent that VS Code has SSH, but I didn't fully understand exactly what it was for, because for the longest time I'd been avoiding SSH until recently I did set it up. And once I started using SSH, I was like, my God, dude, if I had started using this earlier, dude, this is amazing. Like there's so many of these protocols that have been developed, that are in place, and there's so many libraries that have been developed to help you use these protocols. All you have to do is use those libraries and maybe understand the protocol a little bit. But yeah, all you have to do is use those libraries. You don't often need to implement the protocol yourself. It's amazing. It is crazy. It is just, I mean, I kind of knew this already, but I always had this issue where I was like, nah, I want to try and implement things myself. But like I knew to a certain extent that yeah, this stuff exists. I just didn't use it. And SSH was one of those things that I kept avoiding for some reason. At this point, I don't even remember what the reason was why I was avoiding SSH. Maybe it was because of complications. Maybe it was because of the authentication method, which I later discovered that you're not forced into one authentication method. There are multiple authentication methods, but there is one that's the most preferred because it's the most secure authentication method. Um, but yeah, dude, I mean, learning about finally learning about SSH and finally learning about SSH and getting into it using SSH, it opened up a lot of doors for me because I am able to do a bunch of other stuff through SSH now. Like, for example, this tmux thing and um, Git, well, more specifically, GitHub related stuff. What else? What else? Oh, if I also want to do Git related stuff on my local machine, no, on my local network, that can also be done through SSH. I also used SSH to make a backup of all of my important data from my Windows machine because doing any hard drive related stuff on the Windows machine was becoming just extremely slow. So I was like, I need to get the data off of this machine, but if I plug in a flash drive and start copying the files, it's going to take ages. So what I did is I fired up Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL on Windows. I fired up WSL and I started doing all the hard drive operations through Linux. And it is amazing how fast Linux is compared to Windows when it comes to handling when it comes to doing file system stuff. It is just incredibly fast compared to Windows. So what I did is instead of getting all of the data off of the machine at once, I copied, and this is going to sound dumb, but I had to do this just to maintain my sanity, to be able to do it in a more structured way. Um, I copied a bunch of the data piece by piece from the Windows file system over to the Linux file system because that would be the main slow part. Before that, though, I had to delete a couple of folders from a couple of Unity projects. Mainly, it was the library folders, which tend to have like billions of files in them. So I had to get rid of those because the more file-related operations that it has to do, the longer it's going to take to copy. So I had to get rid of those folders. I got rid of them. Then I did the copy. I copied all of them from the Windows machine, from the Windows file system over to the Linux file system, and then I used the SSH copy file copy program. It's called SCP. I used that program to send the the directories and batches from one machine, from my Windows machine, over to my Linux machine. Though, I mean, I was sending it technically from the Linux file system. So I was sending it from Linux to Linux. But yeah, it doesn't make a difference. But yeah, dude, because of that, I finally got my data out and I finally made a backup. And man, I was so happy after that. I was just wow. I was excited. I was dude, moving over to a terminal based workflow has just been amazing for me. We're coming back to the terminal based workflow thing. Okay. Um Yeah, I showed you guys this thing, right? Yeah. So you can also expand and collapse. Like if you have multiple, if a node has children, I think even if it has one, it's still going to collapse. You can collapse it if you, let's say, I forgot what the copy paste commands were. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. Oh, um, what was the what was the okay, Y is to yank the children, and capital Y is to yank the entire. No, capital Y is to yank the children, and Y is to yank the node, and then P I believe is for pasting. I think so. Yeah, yeah. P did work. So what was it? Capital Y, and then we bring it here, and it pastes the children within this. So undo. We're going to create a new thing. We're going to say sum02 and paste it here. There you go. So you can also do these copy operations if you need to, and this can branch out quite a bit. I don't know what the limit is. Let's say sum01. Actually, we don't even need that. I can, yeah. Oh, I deleted this. So let's yank, and we can paste here, and then paste here, and then paste here. So you guys can see how branched out this can get. And there's a bunch of very very useful controls. Like, dude, this application is amazing. This is, at least for me, it has been incredibly useful because my thoughts, they branch out quite a bit. Um, Sorry, zoned out. Okay. Hey there, Zaynar. Hello, hello. How's it going? Hello, what's on the brain today? So I've been uh a lot actually. I've been talking about a lot of stuff. I recently moved a bunch of my workflow over to TUI based apps, and using primarily terminal based workflows. And I was just talking about a bunch of the different apps that I've been using, like this one, for example. This is called Hacker's Mind Map. This is a mind map application, very useful for various, like, regardless whether you want to take notes or you have ideas that keep branching out and you want to take note of all of them, or if you have some other use case, it is incredibly useful. Then there is stuff like this. This is a file manager within a terminal. This is called Yatsi. Then what else? What else? I've also been using Vim, well, NeoVim. So I was also showing that this is Vizy data. We were supposed to be studying this today, learning the basics of this. This is also terminal based, and this is going to be useful for me for my data science related stuff. I realized that thanks to Gemini, because I came really close to kind of pushing Vizy data aside until Gemini kind of mentioned that this can be useful specifically for data science related stuff, because it gives you a more interactive workflow as compared to typing out code. Like when it comes to, let's say, data exploration, it gives you a more interactive workflow as compared to typing out a few lines of pandas in a Python script. Becoming Mr. Linux, I see. Well, I mean, I've been using Linux for a while. I just very recently moved my entire workflow to, actually, I'd been using GUI based stuff for a while, but I very recently moved over to Linux, a Linux based workflow. And I'm honestly very excited about this because holy shit, like it's crazy. Believe it or not, I'm running this on Linux. This specific window that you're seeing is running on Linux, but the browser window that you see in the top right, that's running on Windows. I'm streaming this off of Windows, but that specific window is this window is running in Linux, and within this, I'm running this within a terminal multiplexer, so I'm able to run multiple shells, because of which I can have multiple programs running. Like um, here, I'm editing a Python script, for example. But yeah, that's what I've been up to, and I'm excited. I'm honestly very excited about this. Now, give me a second, because I just looked at the time. How do I do this? Oh, okay. We can do it in this way. I can close this feed, and then that's probably not going to be showing up there anymore. Okay, great. Cool. And then I can close this thing and then open this up here. Lots of nice functionality in the modern age. I'm still attached to my GUIs. Yeah, I mean, I was too, for quite a bit, until it started to become a little too heavy for my hardware, because I'm running a lot of this on older hardware, which makes it all the more amazing to me that I'm able to do this on pretty old hardware, much older than the machine that I'm running my stream off of right now. Uh, just a second. I'm doing something. Oh yeah, there is another thing that I could do here. Okay, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Cool. Awesome. So, okay, I don't know what this person is doing, but we're going to go over to this person. Okay. So I'm gonna start the raid. Man, I'm glad that I figured this thing out, because now I'm gonna be doing a whole lot more, hopefully a whole lot more streaming. There's a whole lot of stuff that I have to work on that I'm now finally gonna be able to work on thanks to this thing that I've done. Sama, Mayor, and Zenar, thank you very much for stopping by, um, and hanging out and chatting. Anyone else who might have been lurking in the chat, thanks for hanging out. I hope I'm able to stream again soon. Hopefully. Now, hopefully, because of, this thing, I should be able to stream a lot more often and make a lot more progress as well. But that being said, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys have a nice day, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.